Well, a very good evening to you. Thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of the long range discussion. Marfogan here for weather and climate through the eyes of Marfogan and first hand weather. And we have seen yet more records fall this morning across parts of Germany, France. We've seen the coolest temperature of the season so far in Belgium at minus 21 degrees Celsius, and we've seen below 0 Fahrenheit, and I believe it was actually -8 in parts of Denmark this morning as well. Coldest of the season for them as well. So we've seen this cold now last for good the best part of 10 days. We've over the past 24 hours yet again seen another significant snowstorm across southeastern parts of Europe. Of course, hardest hit by both the snow and cold, and unfortunately, folks, this pattern is still loaded with winter, and we are going to be seeing actually, temperatures this morning down to -13 in Amsterdam. That Arctic high pressure, powerful cold air mass in place, combined with a widespread snow cover and the clear skies produced by that high, is allowing those temperatures to really drop to unusually low levels. Never mind February, which of course is a latter part of the winter. But any time of the winter, these temperatures are really quite significant, quite rare in fact. Of course, a couple of days ago, Holland received the coldest temperature in 27 years, and many people across Holland are going crazy for the skating. It's good to see that. The third year in a row we've seen an ice over of the canals there after a lengthy 12-year period without any icing at all. So I'm sure many Dutch people who like to get their skates on will be pleased with the current cold spell. But certainly it's been deadly. 400 people now confirmed dead across parts of Europe. And unfortunately, folks, the cold is going to continue. Now, we've got, of course, you can see here the blues showing up over Germany, down into the alpine regions of Austria and Switzerland. And the cold continues. We're going to be seeing temperatures near -40 once again for a second time this year, up in northern Finland, up in the boreal forests up there. Frigid cold nights for sure up there. But certainly we can see here, folks, the deep trough bringing cold air right down into the Mediterranean, even into North Africa. And of course, we're all eyes on this system here, folks, for especially Muscovites who are, certainly shivering in plenty cold weather. My concern is that upper vortex of severe cold could in fact push into Moscow, driving temperatures down towards -30 Fahrenheit. But notice here the trough, cold air remaining anchored in place. Look at France, look at the blue colours showing up. Very cold air remains anchored in place. It is amazing, the persistency. Now, as for England, tonight we could be seeing clear skies. That cold air bleeding off the Low Countries across the North Sea. We've seen some snow showers showing up across parts of England during the overnight and into today, stretching as far west as Buckinghamshire. But certainly we have got the colder air in the mid to upper levels floating over England tonight. Now, of course, we've got many parts of England, in fact, under some snow cover, and that will allow the temperatures to really start to drop off quite quickly now that the sun's down as well. But certainly you've got the clear skies, light winds, and of course that snow cover, you've got maximised radiational cooling. And I think we are going to be seeing temperatures perhaps in parts of the Midlands at least dropping down towards -10, that's 14 in Fahrenheit. But parts of Yorkshire, the Vale of York in particular, to me looks as if it could be a location where we could be seeing temperatures of the lowest values of the season so far, perhaps -12 to -15. So yes, proper cold for the first time this year in parts of England will be interesting. But you notice here the vortex of cold air continuing to dominate far eastern parts of Europe. But even never mind this vortex of upper level low pressure, the cold. Look at how extensive the cold air is. The blues over western Russia, into the Baltic nations, up in the eastern parts of Scandinavia. But let's skip ahead to Thursday, and interesting features here. Notice this upper level low pressure system. That, folks, is the next snowstorm for, unfortunately, actually down in towards south central Europe. That, folks, is going to start to sweep down in towards the Mediterranean. Now, notice Thursday, as it drops into the Alpine region, we'll be looking at heavy snow yet again for the Alps. Notice here, this large upper feature, so persistent on the models, it is continuing to show it intensify, and by goodness, it's starting to get very close to Moscow as well. So it really is worth paying attention to that. By Saturday, you notice here the upper trough and upper level low pressure underneath that trough starting to intensify, dragging, pulling even colder air from Russia in towards the Alpine region. As it does so, it feeds the energy in the base of the trough, the upper level low. Folks, this could be another significant snowstorm for parts of Italy and even some of the islands over the Mediterranean as well. Very concerned about that, and very concerned as well as to just how much cold air this system is wrapping in. So these two features join up together. Of course, they're two circulations. They're pulling and transporting very cold air. So of course, this system, this feature, as it intensifies, it will start to feel this system pulling in its super cold air from Siberia into its circulation, and of course that cold air, very cold air, driving over the relatively warm waters of the Mediterranean could cause problems. As for the British Isles, this is an interesting looking map, by the way, as a forward through. Notice here a very strong northwesterly flow starting to push into the northern half of the UK. Is this the signs of a more negative North Atlantic oscillation? That region over the North Atlantic and Greenland. Notice as well the very severe cold over eastern Canada. Notice also the vortex. The vortex is starting to go up towards Finland, northern Finland, northwest Russia. You notice that. So look at the map here. We've got colder air pushing to the British Isles. That system now scooting back from Italy into the Baltic nations. As it does so, it lifts this feature up. Region is starting to show itself over southeastern parts of Europe. But let's skip through to Wednesday of next week. Notice the trough starting to re-establish itself over central, but particularly the western half of Europe. Also, do you notice the region starting to show up over the North Atlantic and Greenland? That could be a significant thing for us, folks, later down the road. Looking ahead at Thursday, notice how the cold air, a vortex of upper level low pressure to the east of the British Isles, that could feed in Arctic air into the British Isles, folks, by the middle part of next week. That looks a nice looking negative North Atlantic oscillation, doesn't it? And of course the trough, the cold, remains over Europe. It's just a remarkable pattern, folks, and I encourage you just to really sit back and really take, I'm in awe of this pattern. How much records are falling, the snows, and there's going to be another big snowstorm, of course, across, like I say, across Italy, the Balkans, and also we are looking at a severe cold still across Europe over the next 5 to 10 days. But the UK and Ireland really needs to pay attention into early next week. We could be looking at really probably the worst of the winter so far for us here. So continue to keep checking back. I'll try and keep you up to date as much as possible. Have a good evening, folks. Bye-bye.